So why don't we start? Oh, sorry, one more question. How many people here is it your first time? All you got to do is type the word first. Um, Anybody here who it's their first time? Yep. Okay. Yep. David, I see your comment there. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. The hospital. My gosh, a hospital is a little bit of a scary place to be right now, isn't it? Well, I'm so glad you're here. So glad everyone's here, that you've made a decision to come and really try and get some skills for yourself to take care of yourself. Great. So good. So, okay, fantastic. Yep, we have a few folks joining us for the first time, which is great. Okay, so gang, let's get ready to try a little bit of practices. What I'm going to do is start off with breathing meditations. And great, some of you, you're here for your second time. Fabulous. So let's start off with some breathing practices. In mindfulness, we normally start with the breath as the first technique that we really hone in on. The reason we start with the breath is a couple of reasons. One of them is it's a very specific way of helping us concentrate. Okay. And the more we can get our concentration down, then we can do some of the other practices. So mindfulness is kind of like going up a staircase. You go one step at a time. The breath, it's kind of like the first step. And then we go to the next step, which is body practices, focusing on what we feel, sensations we feel in the body. And that includes emotions, physical sensations. Somebody asked about pain earlier, so we'll be talking about that when we get to our questions later on. And then we get to other practices of just paying attention to our thoughts, but not getting attached to them, right? Just observing thoughts as things that pass through, almost like when you look up the sky. Today it's very cloudy, but if you look up at a sky and you just see a cloud that goes through, we want to develop that kind of relationship with our thought, where we're not really buying into our thoughts and traveling with them all the time. What I mean by that, how many people here, and you can just say, yes, I do in the chat function, how many people here sometimes get a thought that gets stuck in your head and you can't get it out of your head? Some people use this word perseverate, which is kind of a big word, where we just keep thinking about something over and over. How many people do that? How many? Yep, sometimes, all the time, often. Yes, always, often. Yep, we're all talking about that a little bit. Scott's mentioning that doing the breathing on the walks has slowed my mind. Well done. It sounds like some of you are really putting some of these skills into place. See, you might notice that pretty much everybody here says either all the time or sometimes. So guess what? Welcome to the human race. We're all human. We all get stuck on our thoughts sometimes. It's totally normal. So we're going to show you some practices to try training our mind to come back to the present moment. Because guess what happens when we train our mind to come back to the breath or body sensation? The thoughts don't bother us as much. Takes a lot of practice though. Mindfulness takes daily practice to really get the best results. Okay. So we'll show you some tools. We really encourage you to try it every day if you can. And wonderful. And guys, and so we've got other people talking about what they do to deal with all the thoughts. The breath work helps some people. Some people find that writing the thoughts down sometimes helps, and it makes me angry. Sometimes thoughts are associated with anger. Sometimes thoughts are associated with worry or fear. And do you want to know what? Thoughts, we hear this, thoughts can be like thoughts of the past can sometimes be depressing thoughts. Like when we think about things we did before that maybe we wished we didn't do. Those can be sad thoughts and depressing thoughts. Thoughts of the future or unknown, uncertain things can make us anxious, right? So the techniques that we're about to do hopefully will help you come to the present moment through mindfulness. So let's try this. So I want to ask everyone to bring all your concentration right now to the tool that we're about to practice. Okay. So in mindfulness, at the Azrieli Center at CAMH, what we do with our practices is we make sure that everybody knows there's lots of different ways of practicing mindfulness. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bunch of tools today, and I want you to find out which is the best tool for you by the end of today. Okay, you might not like all the practices, give them a shot, but really pay attention, really give it your best shot to try them out, and then at the end of today, you can decide which your favorite one was. Okay. And Bree, if you can help us remember, maybe we can even ask people at the end, what was your favorite practice from today? So let's try a few. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to ask you just to simply open your hand and close your hand. Those of you who have done this with us in previous weeks, you know what I'm doing. I'm doing something called the Lotus Breath. Those of you who are new, give this a shot. So opening your hand like a beautiful daylily, closing your hand. So you might see in the image there, you'll see Yona is using both of her hands. She's practicing doing both hands. So you can do both hands or one hand. And by the way, you'll notice Bree has just closed the chat function for now so that we can focus on the practice. And then it'll open back up for your questions shortly. Thanks, Bree. So let's bring full attention again. So opening the hand like a lotus, closing the hand like the lotus closes at night. So the lotus opens when the sun comes out, closes when the sun goes down. Okay? So just feeling the sensations of your hand opening and closing. Okay? That's what we start with. Now what I want you to do is add your breathing into that. So breathe in when it opens. Breathe out when it closes. If you're feeling particularly tense right now, you might want to try for the first 5 breaths that we do this, exhaling through your mouth just like blowing out a birthday candle. So breathing in, breathing out through the mouth. Breathing in. Just keep breathing in, breathing out with the hand. Nice deep breaths. So make this your own. I want you for the next 5 breaths to do this in a way that you really connect to. You can hold your hand wherever you like. That might be down at your side, might be in front of you, it might be beside your face. Make it your own. Some people even like imagining that their breath is controlling their hand and opening and closing it. Okay, so try that for 5 breaths. And I want to add one other technique that you might like. One of the autistic participants in a group recently really enjoyed adding the phrase day flower, night flower. So when she opened her hand, quietly in her mind, she said day flower, night flower. So try that for 5 breaths, training your mind to stay totally focused on nothing but the breath. Let's give that a shot. 5 breaths of that. Great work, everyone. So now what I'd like you to try is taking your hands and warming them up together, just like you're by a fire. See if you can feel your hands warming up. Just bring all your attention to the hands, and let's just pay attention to the sensations in the hands just for a moment. Excellent. Now what I want you to do is put one of those hands on your heart and one on your belly. Can you feel the warmth on your heart and your belly right now? Pay attention to that for a moment. And does it feel a little tiny bit like you're being kind to yourself, just as though if a friend is upset, you might put your hand lovingly on their shoulder? So right now you're doing that for yourself. You're bringing some kindness for yourself. What I'd like you to do now is practice what we call ocean breathing. So with ocean breathing, we simply pay attention to the breath moving in and out the body, just like an ocean tide. So as you breathe in, feel the hands move with your breath. So as it moves through your chest, you may or may not feel your chest rising. And then same with your belly. Can you feel your belly rising like a balloon expanding out on the in breath? And then relaxing back down on the out breath. And really practice the relaxing part on the out breath, okay? So let's try that for 5 breaths, bringing all your attention to nothing but your breath moving in and out like an ocean tide, just relaxing. 5 breaths. Try that. Breathing in, I'm calm. Breathing out, I relax. Try that for 5 breaths. And then after you finish that, are you able to actually just concentrate on the breath moving in and out the body on its own? Okay, this will be a little bit trickier, and you may notice the mind thinking more when you do this. Because the more of a tool that we have, like a body movement or a phrase like breathing in, I am calm, or day flower, night flower, the more that helps the mind stay focused on something, right? But what I want you to try now, just for 3 breaths, is simply focusing on nothing but the bare breath. Okay? So, what I want you to try is this one. Try only feeling the breath in the nostrils. Okay? So, what I want you to pay attention and really focus on is the air moving in and out the nostrils. I want you to pay attention to this just for 3 breaths, whether or not it's going in and out through the right nostril or the left nostril. And also pay attention to the temperature as it goes in the nostrils and comes back out the nostrils. So I want you to see if it's warmer when it comes out, and just really focus all your awareness on that, okay? So we're going to do that for 3 full breaths of bare breath in the nostrils, okay? Ready? Let's go. 3 breaths of just bare breath in the nostrils. Wonderful. Great work. And you may have noticed it's a little bit more difficult to focus on the bare breath without one of those tools, like either the movement or a phrase. Okay. But guess what? It's really great in rewiring the brain to just focus on the bare attention. You know why? That's when we can really notice what's happening with us, what's happening with the breath. If we have a lot of thoughts and anxiety, those are going to come out when we're doing that. And then we become a bit more aware. You may have noticed the kinds of thoughts you had. Were you thinking anything in particular when you were doing that? And if you are, you just go, not interesting. I'm thinking about that. Okay, back to the breath. Remember, the object is not to get lost in thought. Okay? So look, we're doing all kinds of techniques today. We want you guys to have a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to do one more body awareness practice. Then we're going to try this fun little exercise of turning washing hands into a meditation. Okay? So let's try one more. I want to do a body awareness practice. Okay? So what I'd like to start off with is tensing and releasing the muscles. The reason we do this is it's a great way of paying attention to the sensations when the body's tense and then paying attention to the muscles when they're relaxed. Because so often we walk around tense and we don't even notice we're on autopilot, right? So we just go through life not even realizing that we're clenching our shoulders, clenching our jaws. A lot of people even end up going to the hospital or the doctor because they end up with really, really tight jaws because they're not paying attention to the fact that they're just clenching all day. So we're going to practice what does it really feel like tensing and relaxing. Here's something that might be an interesting image for you. We do this with younger kids when we play mindfulness games. We get them to imagine that they have a toy box and they pull out of the toy box a robot, like a metal, stiff robot that doesn't move, right? And we get them to imagine that they are a robot. And what does it feel like just to be stiff? And then we get them to imagine that they are a floppy rag doll, that they pull that out of the toy box and then they pretend being a floppy rag doll. And then really paying attention to what does it feel like when we are those different things. Some people also like the image of spaghetti. Anybody here ever cook spaghetti for dinner? I'm assuming. So you take the spaghetti out of the package and it's a really stiff thing, right? It's just this long line of stiff stuff. You can break it and it snaps. After you cook the spaghetti, it's this really wet, soft noodle. So imagine when you're tense, you're like stiff, uncooked spaghetti. And then after you're cooked, you're this very relaxed cooked spaghetti. Okay. So let's pay attention to the sensations in the body, just tensing and relaxing. And then we'll do a very brief little meditation on body awareness. Then we'll wash our hands as a meditation. So what I'd like everyone to do is tense up their face right now. So tensing up your face, can you scrunch up your forehead and your eyes and your cheeks and see what that feels like? Bring all your awareness to the muscles in your face and relax it. And then pay attention to what that feels like when it's relaxed. Try that right now with your shoulders and your arms and your fists, tensing them up as much as you can. You can squish your shoulders up, squish your arms and your fists tight, 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 tight. See what that feels like? And release it and relax it. And then really pay attention to what that feels like relaxed. Is it slightly tingly? Really paying attention. Now doing that with our torsos and our buttocks and even our legs, tightening up all the muscles, tight, 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 tight. See what that feels like? Now relax it. Paying attention to what that feels like to be relaxed. Cooked spaghetti. So let's try it with the whole body from the head to the toes, whole body tight as you can. Whole body is either a stiff robot or uncooked spaghetti, all tense, and relax it. So you either become like a rag doll, cooked spaghetti, totally relaxed. Feeling the sensations now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to experiment. You can close your eyes if you like to for this part. Don't worry if it's not comfortable to close your eyes, just keeping them open and just looking down somewhere so you're not getting distracted with what you're looking at. Now just pay attention. Imagine that you have a little magical flashlight you can move through the body. And with that flashlight, you simply pay attention to direct sensations. So what do you feel in the head right now? What's the scalp, forehead, the eyes, cheeks, and the jaws? While you're paying attention to the face, you may even notice the sensation of the breath in the nostrils. And if you really focus your attention, you may even feel your exhalation on the skin above your lip. You might notice that it's warmer. Now, can you actually pay attention to the sensations in your jaws? Feel free to open your mouth and close it a couple times. And then can you imagine that your jaws just get heavy and relaxed? Now, can you actually pay attention to the tongue resting in the bottom of your mouth? Can you feel your tongue? Wiggle your tongue around a little bit. You can even stick your tongue out for a moment and put it back in. What's your tongue feel like? Can you relax it? Now, how about your shoulders? What we're going to do is we're just going to go all the way through the body, having a flashlight, focusing on the direct body parts and feeling the sensations. So arms and hands, what's that feel like right now? Your whole torso, can you feel the chest rising and the rib cage expanding, lungs expanding with the breath? And sensations in the belly as you breathe, can you feel it going up and down with your breath? Can you feel pressure in your buttocks where you're seated right now? Sensations in your legs, your thighs and your lower legs, and your feet. Feel free to wiggle your toes around for a moment. And then can you feel sensations in the soles of your feet? If you have socks or stockings or slippers on or bare feet, what's the temperature? The sole of your foot, is it cool or warm or does it feel clammy? What does it feel like to you right now? And then feeling the whole body all at once. Great. There's a little practice in body awareness. You guys have done a lot of techniques. This is fantastic. Now, before we get into a bit of questions and discussions, let's try where we really put mindfulness into practice. How do we do it in our daily lives, right? So we've just done a little bit of a practice of a bunch of things. Now what I want you to do is a bit of a field trip. I'm going to ask everybody to walk away from their computers in just one moment, but wait until I give you some instructions. So what I'd like you to do, it's a field trip for all of us, and we can come back and share what the experience was like. I would like you, when you walk away, when I say go, we're all going to walk away from the computer. So if you have earbuds or headphones on, you're just going to place them beside you. Or if you've got the sound coming from speakers, then you don't need to take your earbuds off, obviously. I'm going to ask you just to do 3 breaths. We'll do it together. Then I'm going to ask you to slowly stand up, or if you're using a wheelchair, then wheeling over somewhere if that's possible. But I want you just to move over to a sink. Okay, if you need someone to support you, then maybe you can ask someone to support you doing this. But what I want you to do is pay attention to sensations in your body. So what does it feel like to stand up? So I want you to come to a standing position and then just feel that, feeling the feet on the ground, and just take 1 or 2 breaths standing, feeling the breath in the body. Then I want you to walk to where the sink is. Okay, and when you do that, I want you to breathe. So I want you to breathe in, take a footstep, breathe out, take a footstep, breathe in, take a footstep, breathe out. Or again, like I said, if you're using a mobility device or if you're in a wheelchair, in whatever way that works for you, just to move over. Then I want you to feel sensation. So I want you to reach forward, put the tap on, and then get that soap and just do the hand washing practice that you do, right? whatever it is, getting the soap, if it's liquid soap or a bar, and I want you to smell the soap. If it's unscented, that's fine, but just smell it. And when you do the smelling, I want you to really take a nice deep breath, get that scent, and then I want you to go through the experience of washing your hands in whatever way you do, and then turn the tap off and slowly come back. Okay, so it's 2:40 now. Let's say that we're going to take 3 minutes to try and do that. Okay, so is everybody ready to do the hand washing? So what I'd like you to do right now is get ready. So take 3 breaths before we go. Okay, let's all do that. So breathing in, feeling sensation in the body. Maybe you might feel the belly expanding out. And breathing out, relaxing. Another breath in. Just taking note of whether your breath is shallow or deep, just paying attention exactly how you're doing right now. Relaxing. And I want you to try and make this a relaxing and healing experience for yourself, okay? So when you wash your hands, here's one more thing you can do. Just picture that you are healing yourself with that soap. Picture that you are giving yourself some amazing, amazing healing properties by washing your hands. If it's fun for you, you can imagine that when the water flows over, that there's some kind of magical something in the water that's helping empower you and make you stronger and more healthy. Okay, really, really bringing a positive experience to this and relaxing with it, feeling the body breathing, relaxing, and then we're going to come back. Okay, ready, everybody? All right, let's go do it. Let's go wash our hands. Okay, take your time, moving nice and slowly, feeling the breath. Great. So I think people may be just arriving back. And when you come back and sit down, I want you just to take a few breaths once again. And you know what I'm going to introduce this time is a brief little acronym. And what I mean by acronym, a couple of letters that make a word. Okay. So just seating yourself. And if anybody here has ever been in a rowboat, you may have heard the term oar, right? Like it's basically a paddle that moves us through the water, right? So we talk a lot about the ocean breath in our mindfulness. And an oar being that, basically that paddle that can move us through. I want you to think about that word, or. You spell or O-A-R. Okay, that's the spelling for or. And what I want you to try doing is using that three-letter word, or, as a way of paying attention to 3 breaths. O being observe. Okay, and by observe, I simply mean just observe the sensations in the breath, either in the nostril or the belly. A, accept, just accepting how I'm doing right now. Just accepting, what is it that I'm feeling? Not trying to change it, just accepting it. And then the R, one of the most important things, relax. Okay, so O, observe the breath. A, accept how I'm doing. R, relax. Let's try that for 3 breaths. Okay, observe, accept, and relax. Great. Well, I tell you, what a wonderful little whirlwind tour of a lot of our mindfulness practices that we do at the Azrieli Center with our groups. Well done, everyone. Thanks for doing that little field trip. I'm going to ask Bree if we can open up the chat function. I know we had a few questions. And it'd be great for Yona, who's here. Maybe Bree can put them out. Lee will have a few words to say as we close. But as we just open that chat function up once again, I'm just curious if you guys could let us know which of the practices was easiest for you. So here's the ones, if you can't remember, because we did a lot together. We did lotus breathing. We did the ocean breath, just feeling our breath as an ocean. We did tense and relax, progressive muscle relaxation. And we did a body scan or a body awareness practice. Remember, we imagined the flashlight going all through the body. And then we did washing our hands. And at the end, we did or, which I just thought I would throw out there because we love having very brief, easy practices for people to do. And sometimes I know people do like more reminders about how to pay attention to 3 breaths. So I thought OR might be a really nice, easy acronym. And we do talk a lot about the ocean. So, oh, there, and Bree's amazing. Bree's just saying a couple of things here. Lotus, ocean, just to remind us, lotus breath, ocean breath. Tense and relax, body scan, washing our hands, and or. So I love it. So people are saying that the washing of the hands was good. The lotus breathing or was good for some people. Okay, great. Fabulous. I love it. Tensing and relaxing, lotus breathing. Oh, some of you liked like all of it. Oh, and I love it. Someone's saying, I didn't realize how my soap was so soft. That sounds like you were really practicing mindfulness, really focusing in on the sensations. Well done. And then, yep, tensing and relaxing for some of us. And I really like the lotus. It's really relaxing when I'm stressed. And the breathing of the ocean. So many people like the ocean breath because it's just a wonderful way of practicing. By the way, one more piece you can add to the lotus breathing, or sorry, to the ocean breathing, is also listen to the sound of your own breath, right? Even try right now, breathing in, can you hear yourself? You can almost breathe so that you sound like an ocean tide, and that can be another focal point. Yep. And you've been doing the hand washing mindfully for years since SARS. Good for you. I love it. Oh, and I like it. Someone saying the smell of my soap was so aromatic today. How wonderful. Thank you so much for practicing these. So I'm going to turn it over to Bree to find out if there's questions. Lee will have some closing comments, and Yona may have some answers for us and also some comments.
So I didn't catch any questions, but that said, we did have the chat off for a lot of it. I do see now Joe asks a question. Is there somewhere we can review these techniques? I want to bring them to a class of students via Google Meets meetings we are having. So after this session, I will share some of our resources with you. The recordings will be put up onto our YouTube channel. So if you've registered and I have your email through that, then I'll make sure I share that. But I'm going to type in my email in the chat, and that way, if you have any questions, you can contact me directly, or if something happens and you don't get my email, then you can chat with me. And then I encourage you if you have any questions. So Raman asks, how can you use mindfulness with mental health, depression, and anxiety? So Sue, I'll let you take that one.
Oh, what a great question. And you're in the right place, because that's exactly why we do these things, right? To help with mental health, depression, and anxiety. And the one I'm going to let Yona speak further to it. But mindfulness, the reason we love these tools and these techniques is because they have been researched by so many people over so many years, right? John Kabat-Zinn developed these techniques and opened it up for people to do some research and study. And loads of mental health professionals have been studying anxiety and depression related to mindfulness. There's neuroscientists who take a look at what's happening inside the brain when people are practicing these techniques. We do know from research that depression and anxiety do go down when people are practicing these more. And a lot of what we talk about is, we spoke a little bit before about thoughts, and how thoughts, in the term rumination, some of you might know, we spoke about thoughts that keep going around and around in our head and we can't get them out, that we get stuck on, or we perseverate, are often things that are disturbing or negative, intrusive, right? So those things can be connected with anxiety and depression. And mindfulness, just what you guys all did today, continually bringing your awareness back to the bare bones, basic experience of the body, just breathing and being present, that helps us wire the brain. Because the more we allow the brain to think thoughts of worry or anger, the more the neural pathways in our brain get used to thinking that kind of stuff, and then they just act that way, right? So the more we think something, the more we're going to think it, because we're training the brain to get used to thinking that way. So wiring our brain to come back to the present moment is a fantastic way of dealing with depression and anxiety. But Yona is the real scientist here, and the person who runs the clinic. Yona, do you want to speak further to that?
Sure, Sue. I mean, I think just to say that, there's all different types of, depression and anxiety people can have, and there's different things that help different people. So, sometimes if you're feeling so depressed that you don't even want to get out of bed, it might be hard for you to do a lot of mindfulness, right? So I think it kind of depends how you're feeling. Some people find that it's really helpful. Some people might not. So I think it's important, if you're here because you want to try this, then you can see if it's something that's helpful to you. It also helps you kind of notice, like Sue was saying, you notice what you're starting to think, you notice what you're starting to feel. So if I notice that I'm feeling really worried about something, then maybe I'm going to do something differently because of that, right? If I notice that I'm really feeling sad right now, then maybe I decide to do something to take care of the fact that I'm feeling sad. So noticing our feelings is really important. Yeah, and just remembering that these are just little things we're trying. Just because you came and joined us today doesn't mean everything you're feeling is going to feel all better. Nothing works that quickly, right? But it's good to try something, and if it's something that you find helps you, then it's something you can try again. If you find it's something that you don't like, then that's your choice really to decide to do it or not.
What a perfect answer. And Yona's right. Daily practice, we know that. Unfortunately, mindfulness is not a pill. So mindfulness isn't something you can just pop and then everything gets magically better. As we said, it's wiring the brain. And so that wiring needs regular practice. It's just like when you go to the gym and you work out and you lift weights all day, or even for an hour or whatever it is. The first couple times you do it, you think, this is kind of sore and uncomfortable. I don't know why I'm doing this weightlifting thing. But then if you do it every day, then suddenly when you have to pick up something really heavy, you can just do it easily, right? So wiring the brain for wellness with daily mindfulness skills helps us when we get into a really difficult situation. We notice that we do a bit better. Okay, there was another question that actually came up earlier. Now I just typed that back in, and it was somebody asked, "How do you ignore pain? I have tummy acid and I don't want to see the doctor because I don't want to get corona." So I'm going to answer the first piece of that, and then Yona's going to take the second piece. The first piece I'm just going to say is, with mindfulness, we actually don't ignore the pain. Yona just spoke beautifully about how we pay attention to how we're feeling. And that's why we really want to be gentle with ourselves. We want to be kind and compassionate, because sometimes if we have difficult feelings or emotions, it's kind of hard to pay attention to them. And we do pay attention, so we don't push feelings away. So if we're feeling pain, actually in mindfulness, we find a way of just paying attention to that, being gentle and calm with ourselves. And if you're someone with a lot of trauma, if you have a lot of overwhelming things that have happened in the past, you got to be really careful. Make sure you're either talking to your therapist about doing mindfulness practices, or make sure you have an instructor to help you. Okay, and Yona, can I put it over to you to finish that? Because I think you might have some thoughts on that. Excellent question. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, it's just to remind you that that the first thing anyone should do these days right now if they're feeling sick is it's really good to call your doctors. The doctors are working, they are in business, and they want to hear from you. But sometimes you don't go in to see your doctor and they try to see if they can help you just from the phone, or even doctors are doing like what we're doing today where they talk to you on the computer and they might see you that way. So the first thing I would do, anyone who's not feeling well, would be to make sure you get in touch with your doctor and talk to them about it. And they'll see if it's safe for you or if you need to come in. And sometimes you'll go into the office and sometimes they can help take care of you not going into the office. So I guess that's my point about the health part of things. The mindfulness part is good about noticing the pain or noticing how you're feeling. But I just want to give a health reminder that we should not be afraid to get in touch with our doctors.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Yona. And great. I know we're just getting close to 3. I know Bree will have a few comments. Can I put it over to Bree first? Bree, can you just say a few words about the Tuesday group for people? And I see another question there. Maybe Bree can just let us know a little bit more about that. Very, very wonderful to have you guys all here. Bree will say a couple of words about our Tuesday. It's called Tune In Tuesdays. And then Bree may say another couple words about if you are really interested in practicing this more. We do these 6-week groups that are more interactive. We're all together on the screen. You can see all the participants' faces, and you have home practice to do every day for 6 full weeks. So it's a great opportunity to kind of go deeper into these techniques that we're experiencing today. Bree, do you want to say a couple of words? There's that question in there about Tune In Tuesdays, and then maybe Lee can help us with some thoughts at the end.
Sure, thanks, Sue. So first, I do want to acknowledge Raman's question. Raman, I see that question and we can attend to it at the end. But with regards to what Sue was talking about, so we are running several groups that hopefully will be helpful to you and your family. So this one, we do for family members and people with developmental disabilities and autism. The group tomorrow is called Tune In Tuesday, and that is for adults with developmental disabilities as well as autistic adults. Now that one is from 3 until 4 p.m. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the Eventbrite link that you can register. So you can click that link right away and it will bring you to that registration. You'll also see my email so you can connect with me directly if there's any issues. And then in addition to that, we're also doing something really cool this week, and it's called What's Up Wednesdays. And it's also for adults with developmental disabilities. And I can share that flyer with you as well. So those who are registered using your email, I'm going to email directly with all these great things we're doing, and hopefully they'll be helpful to you and your families. And then for some reason, if you don't hear from me, I'll type in my email again in the chat and you can reach out. And I just want to say thanks, Sue. That was really great. I really enjoyed that.
Well, thank you all of you for trying these techniques out at this difficult time. We know this is a really difficult time for everyone. There's Bree's email. I really recommend all of you guys reach out. If you don't have the links to register for these other programs, do so. Bree, as the master of all information, she can help you get connected. And Raman, just yeah, I think your question, really just doing regular practice. Please, you know what I'd recommend, Raman? Reach out to Bree and see if you can get connected with some of the other groups because we do have all kinds of sessions. And Lee, can you say a couple words to take us out? You're so great at reminding us to stay hopeful during all these times.
I was just thinking the difference between how I came into this session and how I'm ending it. I felt so much emotion and kind of holding my breath, I think, without even realizing it. And I just am so grateful for today and helping me just notice that my breath is always with me. So I just love the fact that every breath's a new opportunity to get grounded again. And Sue, you've shared a number of ways we can do that today. Thank you so much. And I just thought of something, when we're washing our hands, in addition to the soap and that, we could actually even look at our hands with gratitude, and just like, look at all the things these hands can do. They can write, or create, they can hold, they can comfort. And one of the practices today, when you just asked us to warm our hands and then put our hand on our heart, it almost brought me to tears because I realized I need to be kind to myself more than ever right now. After we dry our hands really well, after we wash them, we can even add something and just putting our hand on our heart and just say, how can I be kind to you in this moment? Just a little something we can give each other or give to ourselves. And it's just portable. Our hands are always with us. The breath is always with us. So I'm just really grateful. I feel so much better than when I came into the session. So thank you all.